wanted to walk you through a couple of different ways that you can get information and look at journal articles through the Wildlife Rehabilitation Bulletin. So this is the landing page for the journal, and you'll see under About the Bulletin that you have a list of information generally about instructions for authors, how to submit a paper, general information about the journal itself, and process for submission. Here on the top tabs, there's links to current issue and browsing the archives. So if you go to the current issue, it will show you the most recently published issue. In this case, it was the last issue of 2021. And so it will then show you all of the articles that are published in that issue. If you go to the next tab over, which is the Browse Archives tab, it will show you all of the other issues that have been published by the journal, and that dates back through to 2001. So there's several pages of prior journal issues dating back 20 years. NWRA members have access to all of the journal content, whereas non-members have access to the open access articles within that content, but not to all of the content. You'll see this latest issue is entirely open access, and you can tell that because there are no lock signals here on any of these types of articles. But if I go back to the archives here and take you through one of the earlier issues, we'll go to this one. You can see that here there's the 4 types of layouts that are offered for every journal article. So a PDF, HTML, EPUB, and XML. And this little lock signal tells you that these are member-only content versus these articles which are not locked and are open access. So I'm going to take you through this article and show you how those different types of displays or those different ways of showing the article display the information differently. So this is the landing page for the article. It gives you the DOI for it if you want to share that article, as well as the keywords, obviously the title and the author information, the abstract, and then the references used within the article itself. If I click on the PDF version of that, that's going to be a version that should be pretty familiar to everybody who's used PDFs before or looked at an article before. In a PDF version, it's a pretty standard format with the figures and any tables within the body of the text itself. And so you can see that this is an article that has quite a lot of figures and is taking you through this process of turtle shell repair. So the figures are really helpful here. And that's the PDF version. If I then go to the XML version, that's a really handy way for looking at the content of an article on one side while being able to look at the rest of the information on the opposite side, on the right side. So if I go through here and I'm reading and I want to see what this citation is, I can click on it and it will pop up on the right side here, so I don't lose my place in the article by having to scroll down to find the reference. Similarly, as this discussion starts about shell repair and I want to click on a figure, I can click here and it will bring up the specific figure and highlight it. You can see this little focus here is highlighted. If I mark that off, then it no longer shows green. And if I go to figure 3, it's going to pop up figure 3, and that will be the highlighted article or the highlighted figure that is shown. If I go back to figure 1 here and I want to take this full screen because I want to look at it more closely, I can do that, and I can see where this break is here more adequately than I can if I'm just looking at it within the paper itself. And then I can go out of full screen and I'm still at the same place in the text as I was before. So it's a really helpful way for looking at side-by-side figures, and can be really helpful when you're doing something like this where there's a technique being listed for the steps that you need to go through, and I want to look at what those specific steps are more closely as I'm reading about it. So it gives quite a lot of flexibility. And again, I can go back and click on references and come directly back to the figures. Or if I want to more immediately go through and find a specific piece in the text, I can just click on this content piece and go back to the abstract, or go back to the technique, and then go back to the figures here. So it's a really handy way for looking at article content side by side. So if I click back on this DOI here for the article, it will take me back to the landing page for that specific article. So those are the PDF and the XML versions that I just went through. HTML version is a version that you might also be familiar with. It's the type of version that you would typically see on a website, so it's formatted more specifically in that way. So pretty common means of looking at an article. And then the last version is an EPUB version, and you can see in this corner here that it just automatically will download a version of that article. So the other thing to know about the journal, if you want to find your way around, is that there are categories here for all the different types of things that are covered. So if I want to look at articles on let's say songbirds and perching birds, it will take me through a listing of all of the articles in the journal on songbirds and perching birds. If I want to look at fundraising and media, here are all the articles on fundraising and media. Again, I can navigate readily between the current issue and all the prior archives. This piece here on NWRA members is on every single landing page. So if you go to the About the Journal page, this information is still going to be here. That's key to remember, because if you ever forget your member sign in and sign out, it will always be here. I'm currently signed in, but if I log out and I try to go to the article that I was just looking at, in that issue on turtle shell repair, you'll see it's still locked, but I don't have access to it now because I'm locked out, so it's going to take me back to sign in. So if you forget your sign-in information, it is at the bottom of every NWRA email that is sent out, and it's also under the Member Resources tab once you sign into the NWRA homepage. There's additional information here for readers. We suggest that you register as a reader under this register link for the journal. That will help you get notifications about when a new issue is published. There's issue or information under the For Authors tab, so to help you understand how to submit an article to the journal, as well as the author guidelines are right here, and then information for librarians. We hope that you find the journal helpful to you in your wildlife rehabilitation work.